What's going on, everybody? Welcome to my YouTube channel where I'm going to begin doing my call-in shows every now and then. I am off from work on Mondays, so makes sense to do them on a Monday. Why not do them on a Monday? Why not start off the first day of the week with a call-in show? Also got a new camera, so shout out to the new camera. This is going to be the new camera quality that you see yours truly. I just finished editing one of my videos today and spent like half the day doing it, but we got some stuff done. So that was good. But anyway, we're just going to have fun. We're just going to have a pretty much open conversation about stuff, whether it's about the Eagles, whether it's about, I guess, other stuff. I mean, Spider-Man No Way Home is coming back to theaters with an extended edition. So shout out to Marvel trying to, milk the money out of the last Spider-Man movie. It was a great Spider-Man movie. Probably the best ever. But, man, it's going to be crazy. But anyway, we got our first caller and also the co-host of our show, the LinkedIn podcast. We got Lindy. What's going on, Lindy? How you doing, man?
Hey, yo, what's up? What's up? Well, I myself got a little sunburned over the weekend. The wife and I headed to the community pool in our town, so there's that. And well, aside from my camera freezing up, not exactly sure why it's doing that. That's new, but no, I mean, had a pretty boring Monday. Aside from trying to get a new job, that's about it.
Well, hope everything goes well with that. First thing, right. I guess we could talk about. What about Devin Allen this past weekend? Actually, just finished doing a video on that. He finished with the third highest of all time in the 110-meter hurdles. So very impressive, man. Like I'm just seeing him, and I'm just saying, listen, speed kills, and on special teams, I think he's gonna separate himself and get a roster spot. I really do see it happening, and I think he's gonna be our starting kickoff returner this season.
Right, and I did see that he just got done talking with John Clark on a recent podcast, and really alluding to how much of a leader Jalen Hurts has been so far, which is a awesome positive to listen to. And he went on to say that I may end up being the 6th, 7th, or 8th receiver on the roster, and Jalen's still taking the initiative to even get to know guys that low on the depth chart, and try and create one big family there. And but that's what us fans are used to in the culture of this football team, that we haven't really dealt with a lot of selfishness, if we're being real. I think year in and year out, we get a collection of guys on this football team that nobody's really for themselves, and it all seems to work in in a more selfless favor. Granted outside of some bad drafts, in terms of talent adding to this football team, you can say that the players' characters have been, that they have been top notch and team friendly. So I think that goes unappreciated at times, and or not talked about enough.
Yeah, for sure. I think we definitely do have an unselfish team, but it's going to be interesting to watch. It's going to be interesting to see who ends up getting on the roster and who ends up just being part of the odd man's out. And we got Reaper Talon in the house first. He's always first in these live streams. So shout out to Reaper for.
I'll tell you what, though. I'll tell you what, though, Britton Covey just got put on notice for what Devin Allen did. I'll tell you.
Oh,
I'll
I
tell
think
you that
everyone.
much.
I think Rager got put on notice. I think everyone
Yeah, it's
that's competing
possible.
for that spot. I think everyone that's competing for that spot got put on notice. So you're
Right.
talking about
Right.
a guy that's racing against the fastest people in the world. And
Mm-hmm.
in terms of the Olympics and sprinters and all of that, their training is on like another level. Like the way football players are training, it's not even close. It's not even close. Like these guys are training all year. They have to be in peak condition or they're not even going to make the team basically. So it's like it's a little bit crazy. So that's why I don't have any doubts in my mind that Devin Allen's the fastest player on the team. I think he's faster than Slay. I think he's faster than probably anybody that we had. And game speed is a little different in terms of the NFL, but we'll get to see what his game speed really is. I mean, when he was in Oregon, he was really electric. So time to do it in the NFL. Time to do it in the NFL. So
Yeah, certainly he's not going to run that. He's not going to run that fast with a full uniform on, pads and all. Certainly not. And cleats, whole package. But like you said, going back to Oregon, it's not like he hasn't done it before. Now he gets another opportunity with the Eagles, like a lot of these other undrafted free agents, undrafted rookies. And we'll go from there. But yeah, no, I'm excited about his speed. I'm excited of what he can bring to the special teams unit, and that was obviously the most one of the most suffered groups in terms of kick and punt returning. Where we gave Greg Ward the nickname Fair Catch because that's all he really ever did. There was just no we're not sitting on the edge of our seats in anticipation of hoping that something could happen on special teams and somebody, return a punt to the house for a touchdown or something like that. Granted, Rager has done it, I think, at least one. No, I don't think he has any return touchdowns, to be honest. Or no, he has one. He has one.
He had one against the Green Bay Packers.
That's right. Yeah, he had one against Green Bay, and I think that was the season before. Yeah, that was his rookie season. So, but no, I mean we need some explosiveness in all three phases, not just two. We need all three to contribute to that, and special teams has suffered the most by far.
Yeah, and special teams is a place that people don't talk about. Everyone talks about having a great defense. Everyone talks about having a great offense. But special teams can win you a football game. You saw it in the playoffs against, between the Green Bay Packers and the San Fran 49ers. So it was pretty much an ugly, brutal game between the defenses. And the difference of the game ended up being a block punt that was returned for a touchdown by the 49ers. And that's why they advanced to the NFC Championship. So whether it's block punt, whether it's, kickoff return, whether it's field position, whether it's, I could get a kickoff returner, wave a fair catch and, get the ball at the 20-yard line, or I could take a knee and get the ball at 25, or I could get a dude that is electric with the ball in his hands, and then he just goes out and gets the ball to like the 45 or 50-yard line. The field position battle is very, very important when you're trying to win games in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, especially look at any competent offense that takes advantage of good starting field position, especially when it pertains to special teams. If you're one that can make a play on a kick or punt return and just take some and give your offense some breathing room so they're not backed up to their own end zone, that proves to have better efficiency in your offense, just to continue to score points at a high level. And I think that's I don't know how it pertains to the research that I did in Shane Steichen taking play calling over. I didn't go that deep into it, but I noticed for as good as Justin Herbert was in his rookie year, that team only scored 24 points a game. They were 18th in the NFL. And you look at how high powered of an offense that they had, between the receivers, the run game, and everything. I think their defense was up and down. But no, I mean, special teams in those cases can make a big difference on how many points you can score at a given time.
Yeah, that's definitely a true thing to say. I guess, what's your thoughts on the team right now? Like, if you had to say right now, are we making the playoffs? Are we going on a deep run? Are we going to lose in a wild card again? Like, where do you see the season ending with this team?
I think the bigger question attached to that is more so what the diagnosing the result and how you would go about the end result. Like, what would it take for you? Like, what would it take for you to be okay with Jalen Hurts as your quarterback moving forward? Because a lot of this is built around him. A lot of this is built around the defensive coordinator. A lot of this is built around the head coach. So if you bracket it off into other segments like that, then you're just going down a deeper rabbit hole, right? So I don't know, because I was seeing questions today about, well, if Hurts gets us to the NFC Championship game and he loses, do you still rock with him going forward, or do you draft another quarterback? And I thought it was an interesting question. Me, frankly, if I see this team get to the NFC Championship game and if they lose, but they were still competitive, then I don't see how you have any questions.
I mean, if we make the NFC Championship, then that would mean that Jalen Hurts beat one of Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, or Matthew Stafford in a playoff game.
Right.
And those are some really good elite quarterbacks right now. So if he did that and he performed at a high level, let's say, for example, we make the NFC Championship, Jalen Hurts balls out, but our defense gives up like 45 points and we lose, then there's not much I can say about that. That's like, it's kind of reminds me when Nick Foles got ran out of Philly his first stint. And that was mostly Chip Kelly's fault, but that's another story. But his performance in the playoff game against the Saints was a great performance. And he had a great season for his first season starting. So he left the field to lead, and he, in my opinion, he played well enough to win that game, but still got ran out of Philly for no reason. So I kind of feel like it's the same thing here. We'll know if Jalen Hurts is the guy by watching him play. Like, nothing's about stats. A lot of people are saying, he has to throw this many touchdowns or that many touchdowns or this many yards. I don't care about that. I don't care about yards. I care about what I see. I care about seeing like a visible improvement. I care about us being a better team, winning more games than we did last year. And then when it gets to the playoffs, I think it'll work itself out. I think that depending on matchups, we'll have a good chance to win. Because at the end of the day, the strength of the team is running the ball. So running the ball is going to be effective in the postseason, keeping Aaron Rodgers, keeping Tom Brady, and the elite quarterbacks that we're going to go up against in the NFC. I know the AFC probably has more elite quarterbacks in the NFC, but you still got to play Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady, and those are two of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. You have to beat one of them if you want to even make the NFC Championship, let alone the Super Bowl, in which you would have to beat both of them. So I got to say, we'll know on the tape, on the film. The eye test shows everything. I really don't care about stats. Jalen Hurts, if he balls out and leads this team to a higher level than that of last season, I think you have all the more reason to stick with him.
Well, you can very well, create a misconception there. You can easily create a misconception there in terms of statistics and worrying about yardage. I think in terms of yardage, one thing you can look at is is whether or not Jalen Hurts is more accurate with the football. If with improved accuracy comes more yardage because you're completing more because you're completing more passes. So it's not the quantity of yardage in a given play. It's the quantity of completed passes that can lead to more yardage to make you look better in terms of a passer. And I think that's more important to look at than more so when you're getting it in large chunks, because that's just not sustainable. Defenses are going to figure you out. But yeah, when you mentioned the playoff picture there, you mentioned off 2 defending Super Bowl champs and, well, 1 playoff flameout. Let's be real about that. Aaron Rodgers, for the most part, has been a flameout in the playoffs. But aside from that, you're still facing elite company in those quarterbacks, and you're arguably facing elite defenses. The Rams have upgraded again. The Bucks still managed to keep most of their core. Even the Packers, I think, managed to keep the majority of their core, even though I don't know if Zadarius Smith or not returned, but Jair Alexander's still over there. Jair is still over there in the secondary, and Eric Stokes is looking pretty damn good for them. So not only do you have elite quarterbacks commanding an offense, but you're still going up against top 10 defenses in the in the NFL. So when you look at it that way, and you analyze the body of work in that regard, based on the level of competition in the playoffs that Jalen Hurts has to face, then I think that's more than enough to determine whether or not he's your quarterback moving forward, because it's just, again, he's going into just his second full year starting. He's a third year quarterback. And, well, this is a part of the rebuilding process. So, he's going to have to learn how to utilize the new pieces that he has in there. Aside from the offense, you got the defense as well. But that's not to say that we can't have high expectations for this football team. Like I said, I have them winning 11 games. I think that's fair. I think that's their floor. Their ceiling could very well reach maybe as high as 13 games, I would say. But for me, 11 to 13 games is fair enough to analyze where this team is right now. And of course, things could change because final roster cuts have not happened yet. Injuries, knock on wood, none of that has happened yet. But until we have to reassess, that's where the team is looking right now going forward. And, they have given fans plenty to be excited for.
Yeah, and as far as what you just said about, all of that, I just want to throw this in there with Jalen Hurts. Because let's say Jalen Hurts has a really good season and balls out, in the playoffs, even in the playoffs. What if there's a scenario where they still try to get rid of Hurts, even though he balls out? Like, let's say that, what if there's like another Cleveland Browns, like a Baker situation where they're like, oh, well, we like you, Hurts, but like,
you're asking for it.
And then let's just say for the sake of argument, the Eagles go for Lamar Jackson, who versus the Cleveland situation isn't going to have a bunch of, accusations and stuff against him. But, let's say the Eagles were like, you know what, we want Lamar. Like, we see that the Ravens aren't paying him, they're not re-signing him, so we're gonna go after Lamar. Like, Jalen, we appreciate what you did. You did a good thing, but we don't think that you can take us as far as someone like Lamar Jackson. Like, how would you feel about a scenario like that happening if Jalen Hurts still showed that he was a baller, and they still just said, you know what, we're good, and they moved on from him? Because I can see that happening, even if he performs.
I would say that if Lamar's stock was low enough, then maybe. But my problem is you're moving from Hurts, who is already a Lamar type of quarterback, but less refined, and tangibly there's differences there, but there's plenty of comparisons between the two and some of their style of play. So for me, why not just try and do a little bit of molding with Hurts into a Lamar style of quarterback, but refine him more as a better passer. And a lot of stuff that we're going through with him right now, especially that we don't have to pay him yet. The only way I see something like that working is, like I said, if Lamar's stock was low enough that you're not going to have to pay him like a top five quarterback. And if he goes as far down as closer to 10, then maybe I could see an argument for that. But right now, no, not when Hurts has similar tendencies to what you could say can be like Lamar Jackson.
So how would you feel though in that situation? Like, would you support that move or would you not support it?
I mean, in all honesty, you're getting better at the position, so you can't be mad at it. I mean, Lamar is a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts, but the two of them do have similar issues that they have to work around. But yet, like I said, Lamar's more refined as a quarterback than Hurts is, so you can't be mad at the upgrade. But being that they're similar to me in style,
So you're saying you wouldn't
I don't know that
multiple draft picks for Lamar and pay him a big contract?
It would have to be a lot more justifiable. I don't know if it's going to be like a plunging situation. And I don't see Howie Roseman being that kind of GM to do it.
If they move on from Jalen, I don't want to start like from scratch again, like with a rookie quarterback. I don't want to go through that.
I don't see that happening either.
If you're saying that even if Jalen balls out, they're just gonna say, "Oh, he has limitations and whatever," then I would welcome like someone like Lamar to the team. I really would. Versus, CJ Stroud. While he has like a lot of upside and everything, I don't want to freaking start over with a rookie quarterback and deal with all of that again. It's just this team is going to get to a point where we got to try to win. Like, we can't just keep doing this stuff with like the revolving quarterbacks. It's the same thing, and I don't like McNabb. I don't like McNabb, but when we got rid of McNabb, we dealt with the same thing. We had Kevin Cobb, we had Michael Vick, we had Nick Foles, we had Sam Bradford. It all kind of like got out of hand, and then we had Carson Wentz for a few years, and then that fell apart. And then, we're here with Jalen Hurts, and I really want to see him succeed and be the guy, just so we don't have to deal with this crap. But the Eagles, I just don't know. I just don't know what they're gonna do, because in the NFL, you literally never know. I mean, I don't think that. I mean, at the end of the day, it's the Cleveland Browns, so they're the most likely team to do a stupid move like this and trade for a guy that has all these accusations. And, every day that goes by, he's getting more accusations.
The Cleveland Clowns.
I mean, in that regard, like, when he got off with charges, then, everyone thought, like, it was basically over. And that's why the Browns did all that. But if some shit happens and they have to release him, they're going to have to eat like $230 million, like right off the bat. So, in that regard, it could be a similar situation though that I could see, because the Browns felt the same way about Baker, the way I think the Eagles currently feel about Jalen Hurts. But will a big season and a big performance change their mind? That's something to keep an eye on.
think the other thing to me that could, well, I don't know. I don't know how far this could really go, but even the backup quarterback situation.
Minshew?
You know, Minshew is on the last year of his rookie deal. Carson Strong has had massive knee injuries. He's basically a statue in the pocket. And for the most part, he's a statue. He's the majority of Carson Strong is that he's more of a pocket passer style of quarterback. Being that he has gone through a bad knee injury, anytime he's going to leave the pocket, you already know defenders are going to secretly target that, minus roughing the passer calls, what have you. They're going to still try and get away with it. And then you got Reed Sinnett. So
Carson Strong's currently fourth string, and Reed Sinnett is third string.
Wow, yeah. So I mean, there's you don't got much there. I'm thinking in a sense of, well, what if your starting quarterback gets hurt? Then you would have to hold on to Minshew because you're not going to trust Reed Sinnett or Carson Strong at this point. You're not going to trust either one of them. And you have to deal with the situation. Well, if Minshew starts to ball out like he did in the Jets game, ball out, then you're going to have him crying to Coach Sirianni again, like, I want to be the starter. I want to be the starter. So you can arguably say that we already have that kind of situation right now between Hurts and Minshew. He already wants to start. So and then there was talks at one point about
he already does.
Right, and there was talks at one point, I think, speculating that Minshew isn't a great locker room guy and yada yada. So
I don't believe that. I believe he's just like, he's really competitive and it rubs people.
Yeah, he still has a strong desire to start and
he should. Nobody should want to be like second place to anybody. I don't blame that at all. But, Philly is probably not a situation where he could start. There's probably another situation on another team that he could probably be a starter, but
maybe that's why there was, maybe that's why Nick Foles came back up in conversation, because he's one that's okay with being a backup, and Minshew talking this way if he's not okay with being the backup, but everybody's like, no, be done with Nick Foles, be done. It's like just getting back into the same relationship over again, and it's insanity. But every time Foles backs somebody up, he always seems to have this collection of good games. Didn't necessarily work for the Bears, and didn't necessarily work for the Bears, Jacksonville, because he got hurt. So, I don't know. But he's, 33 at this point? So, I don't know. I don't know. We already got that kind of backup situation right now. But it's, of course, nobody is touching Jalen Hurts in that quarterback room. So we got nothing to worry about.
If they trade Minshew, they're going to trade him to a team that could actually use him as a starter.
Right.
They're not gonna trade him. I heard some people talking about, he should go back to Jacksonville. I'm like, why would he do that? He doesn't want to go back to Jacksonville. He doesn't want to go back to a place that, wouldn't let him start.
Mm-hmm.
And, basically, he might as well should have just stayed. So, I think a team like the Panthers would be a good fit for him, because obviously Sam Darnold stinks. He can challenge him. Yep. They have drafted Matt Corral in the third round, and he could be the future of the franchise. He could basically be, a project. We don't know what he's going to be, and I honestly think that would be a good fit for him. So if they want to make a deal, I think that's a team that could work out. But I definitely don't see him getting traded for nothing.
Right. Yeah, I know. He's only going to go to I only feel that he's going to go to a team where he does have a chance to start. He's not gonna want to go back into a situation like Jacksonville behind a Trevor Lawrence. You know, pretty much the Panthers situation is a great example. Maybe, well, I don't know. Maybe the Bears. I don't know about that one because I mean they still have. Well, I think Foles
Maybe
is
the
still there
Falcons. I
and
mean,
Andy Dalton.
The Falcons have Mariota, and
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know who
another
the
example.
second quarterback is.
Would Minshew love the opportunity to throw to Kyle Pitts, right? Man.
He might. We got
And
Raphael in the house, bro. What's going on, man?
Drake London, I think.
Oh, hello guys, it's me, El Capitan Rafucho, as known as Raphael Chassin. I just saw your show, the latest show right here, and I like it because, thanks for the Philadelphia Eagles content creators, as Mitch, AK, of course, Bergen, Birdman, that was, because I'm just looking at about who is Philly Jim, because I need to know this guy, and, he's very amazing. And I have
Thank you, man.
Yes, and I have a question for you because,
Yeah.
because I just saw all the news right here because Jalen Hurts is number 7 and the emphasis signing callers, which is the best quarterback, because right now
He's ranked
it's between the
7.
battle of Jalen Hurts versus Prescott, because for me Jalen Hurts has the weapons and the sheen to take like the full advantage to all this opportunity to can prove right here, but Dak Prescott he can really he's unbeatable. But the only thing is how do we call like improve all the Jalen Hurts to be like a quarterback with a lot of legit weapon, because how to to rank it about the position number 7 of Jalen Hurts as the quarterback at the National Football Championship Conference.
So he's the 7th ranked quarterback in the NFC.
Yes.
That's interesting.
Yes.
In terms of all of that, I think the reason why Dak is probably ranked higher than him is because Dak he's more proven. So, a lot of the disrespect for Jalen Hurts is based off of what people have already seen. So that's why this season is a very big season for him to go ahead and go out and prove what he can do. Because if he does prove it, then he will get more of that respect if he shows that he can beat you with his arm and stuff like that. He hasn't proven to do that way too much so far in his career. So I just feel like Jalen Hurts is just a little bit unproven right now, and this is the year for him to prove it. He's in the best situation to prove it with the weapons around him, like you mentioned. So I think it's all just about Jalen Hurts putting it together and proving what he can do.
Yeah, but the only thing is, if Jalen Hurts can prove it and he should show up at the OT, maybe like a contenders right here. But the first thing for Jalen Hurts about his career, about the 2022-23 season is, beat the Dallas Cowboys, and of course the powerful
absolutely,
which is they had the powerful defense right here, because right now who can stop us, because the first tag of Jalen Hurts to be on the 2022-23 season of this season right here for the Philadelphia Eagles is beat the defense at the offline of Dallas Cowboys, because the last time I just saw the Cowboys on 12 and 5 wins and 12 wins and 5 losses, but it became because they just classify it, but they just lost in the conference, but they just lost in the conference playoffs. So it might be like, okay, just just give it like Jalen Hurts can be like this season, but the first tag is beat Dallas and of course Washington and New York, because that's very superior. And whatever it comes to perhaps the best running quarterback, it's not like Lamar Jackson when it comes to the design rounds, because he was injured his ankle later against the New York Giants on November 28th. But when it comes to advanced numbers, like things like yards, getting like expectation, and just like a common sense, and I will tell you, this is gonna be a bang up for the part of the description right here. If you more like handle the ball like the football, it can more likely like the pain is around the corner, and it's just like there's many different ways to see Jalen Hurts could beat the season or maybe not.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just like I was saying earlier, nothing's really about the stats. It's about showing improvement in the areas that you need to show improvement in. Accuracy, anticipation, making the right throws, not forcing it, let the game come to him, not making all this same typical type of mistakes that you see, typical first year, second year quarterbacks making. It's time for him to, take that step in his development and everything. But division games are very important. So beating Dallas is very, very important for him because that's the team that we need to beat if we're going to win this division. We're going to need to beat them, and the Giants and Washington are two teams that I personally don't think are on our level, and I'm not afraid to say that. I don't think that anyone else would disagree. I think that
All right.
I think we're way better than those teams, and I think that we're just as good or slightly better than Dallas. So we should be able to beat them unless we get in our own way.
Yeah, then because that's my point. But I just wanted to say thanks for having me because I'm a
Yeah, for
little
sure,
short
man.
time. But
Thanks
guys,
for coming on.
yes, and of course, I just wanted to say salute to everybody else in the chat, and I just wanted to put my link right here to follow me on YouTube right here,
Yeah, go
because
right ahead.
right now, yeah, because I have a lot of content right here, and this time it's very incredible to see how these YouTube content creators, which is the sports, including the Eagles, got to provide all this information about what's going on with the Eagles and of course the off season coming up. But I just wanted to say salute to everybody else, and El Capitan
100%,
Rafael
man.
has arrived, but also I'll see you guys nearly.
Have a nice day, man. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Appreciate you.
So I'm actually gonna drop his link, and I'm gonna hit him with a subscribe, which I just did. Raphael, thank you for coming into the call-in show, my man.
Mm-hmm.
So let's drop his link. Everyone, please go subscribe to him and just drop the link in the chat. But anyway, Lindy, you got any other stuff you want to talk about?
No, I mean, when he brought up the the rankings for the NFC quarterbacks going into this year, there's the context provided was correct enough when you talk about the reason Dak Prescott is ahead of Hurts, and we're not trying to be in a situation where we're going to get ahead of ourselves here. Hurts still has a body of work that he has to show. And granted, he's only in his third year right now and whatnot. And Dak isn't too much. He's not. It's not like he's 10 years in. He's not that much. Hurts is not that much behind. But when you talk about sustainability and consistency, as a quarterback overall, and what you were able to do in your career up to X point, it just goes to show the context behind the rankings and why these quarterbacks were put where they were. Of course, Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers are going to be at the top. Matt Stafford is finally getting recognized that he got out of that dumpster fire over in the Detroit Lions, and stuff like that. But no, it holds true. I don't think that it's a stretch to put Hurts at 7. When you consider the quarterbacks behind them, and two of those quarterbacks who you just mentioned for Washington and the New York Football Giants, there's still a bit of uncertainty at the quarterback position for both teams. They're trying to fix themselves from an offensive and defensive standpoint. The Giants look like they have some sort of structure, like they have a good rebuild of structure going on with Brian Daboll as the head coach, and Wink Martindale comes over from the Baltimore Ravens, and trying and bring that be like a Raven defense that they have had in the past. And he's got quite a bit of toys to work with, and they just brought in Kayvon Thibodeau out of the draft. So, these teams do have some stuff that they can be excited about. But at the end of the day, when you talk about the foundation that the teams in the NFC East have created, you can still make the argument that the Eagles and Dallas Cowboys are still, the two top teams right now until Washington can show some. Yeah, so until Washington and New York can show something, and that's what it's going to be. That's the type of fight that you're going to see in this division between Philly and Dallas.
How do you see the NFC East finishing out? If you had to rank the teams 1 through 4.
I think it's going to be, obviously, with me saying the Cowboys and Eagles, it's definitely going to be a race between those two. I think one win separates the winner and the loser. I think one is going to win 12 games, the other is going to win 11 games, and I think that decides the division. If I had to put my money where my mouth is, I would have to say I would want the Eagles to win 12 games. So I would have them winning the division. I would have Dallas coming in second at 11. And, who do I trust more, Carson Wentz or Daniel Jones? That's a tough one. I don't know. Me personally, I think I like the veteran combination between Carson and Ron Rivera more than I do Daniel Jones and Brian Daboll. As we know, it's a quarterback-driven league. Despite the issues that Washington's going through with Terry McLaurin seeking a contract extension, I still feel at the end of the day, being that being that I still think Carson's a better quarterback than Daniel Jones, I trust Washington to come in third, and I still have the Giants dead last.
It's pretty much the order I have. I think we're going to win. I think we're going to win 11 or 12 games, like you said. I'm really leaning on the side of 12 right now, just because I don't see a lot of teams that aren't extremely beatable. I think that. People talk about the worst divisions in football. They talk about the NFC East and they talk about the NFC South, but I think the AFC South is a pretty weak division as well. Outside of the Colts, I think the Titans are a very overrated team. I think that they're one-dimensional. I think Derrick Henry is obviously one of the best, but they've been using him so much that it's starting to show. His usage is starting to show, and got injured last year. And I wouldn't be surprised if something like that happens again, just because of how much they're using him. Just on pure volume, guys get hurt when you use them to the level that they've used him. I think Green Bay is probably the toughest game on our schedule, and it'll be a great test to go against Aaron Rodgers at that point in the season, because he's only elite quarterback we're going to see the entire schedule. So got 2 games against Dallas. You need to at least split those, if not win both of them, and you'll win the NFC East. And then Dallas will be a wild card team. They'll be 5 seed, 6 seed, 7 seed at worst. And then you're going to have Washington in third place. Washington is not that good.
Aha!
What's up, Isaiah?
What's up, Philly? What's up, Lindy?
What's going on, man?
What's up, man? But anyway, like I was saying, I think Washington, they got some good weapons.
Wait, I have a question again.
What's up?
Are you a fan of wrestling?
Not really, but back in the day, I played a little bit of WWE.
Wait, what did you play? Is this SmackDown vs. Raw or 2K?
What?
Is it? Do you just play SmackDown versus Raw or 2K?
I don't play it anymore. I was saying that when I was a kid, I played the wrestling game on the PS2. That's
what? What? How do you say that? Is it SmackDown versus Raw or something on PS2? I don't know.
Okay. Is that the only question you have?
Do you want to react to my video?
What's your video about?
Wrestling.
Wrestling.
Yes.
So who's your favorite NFL team?
I'm not a fan of NFL.
Not a fan of the NFL.
I'm a fan of wrestling, NHL, and basketball.
Basketball. Okay.
So, do I react to my video?
Sure. Where's your video at? Tell me the title.
Hold on.
Tell me the title.
It says TLC 2017. That's wrestling. That's from Tables, Ladders, and Chairs 2017.
Okay. Anyway, as I was saying before, Washington, they got weapons. They got Terry McLaurin still there.
Hey, excuse me.
What's up?
Do I react to my video?
Yeah, I asked you what the title was, so.
Yeah, I'm watching a full match.
Okay. As I was saying before, they got weapons. They're a good team. Not a great team. And I don't think that they'll win more than probably 7 or 8 games. So, going to be interesting to watch. And Washington and the Giants, I just think they're a little bit too further away. Daniel Jones just not a good quarterback. Not good enough to get it done. Not good enough to get it done at the end of the day.
I think the biggest thing going forward that the Eagles and Cowboys can take advantage of overall, is the fact that granted this is off of last year, but strength of schedule. I think both Dallas and Philly are top 4 in that range. And when you're a team built to take advantage of that kind of situation, just like much of last year, how the Eagles were criticized for, they didn't belong in the wild card and yada yada, and they beat bad teams to get there. Well, guess what? You still have to play who's in front of you. You got to play who's in front of you at the end of the day. So I think that's what it ultimately. That's what it ultimately boiled down to, and then I think that's what's going to ultimately decide a division as which team is going to be better suited to take advantage of the easy matchups and still be competitive enough to win most of their harder ones, or teams that are on the same level or higher. I think that's what's going to further decide who comes out on top in the NFC East is, who takes advantage of their strength of schedule. And, Eagles and Cowboys, I think, are 3 and 4.
So let's check out, I know we already did a schedule review on the LinkedIn podcast. Make sure you guys tune into the LinkedIn podcast on Friday nights at 8 o'clock Eastern as a part of the Sideline Sports Network. So I'm going to actually go over the schedule here. So here we go.
I just looked over episode 5, and we had some good traction on that one. I think we're at 81 total views. We had some comments in there. So,
you know what the problem is with that, Lindy? We only had 16 total likes. So I'm only going to get the Nate Gary jersey. I'm only going to get the Nate Gary jersey if we go over 25. So we need 9 people to go to the stream and like the stream if you guys want to see me do that. But otherwise, it ain't going to happen. But anyway, Detroit Lions.
It's going to be $5.
I just don't – when I look at the schedule, I just don't see a lot of losses. I'm going to point out the games that I think are pretty tough to like our toughest games. And 2 games against Dallas, those are going to be tough games for us. Because as much as I don't like to say, give them credit, they are a good team. They won the division last year. They have a very talented roster. Going to be a tough game. Minnesota, they got a lot of talent on paper. They can't really get it done consistently, but they're dangerous. That's going to be a tough game as a home opener. Arizona on the road, I think that's a tough game. Even without DeAndre Hopkins, it'll be a tough road game. Change of time zone, flying across the country is always tough. Pittsburgh is a very well-coached team. I know that they don't have like the best quarterback situation, but I don't think it matters because Mike Tomlin is a phenomenal coach. He always puts his teams in the right position. Indy will be pretty good. I think that with Matt Ryan, their offense will have less limitations because a lot of what Frank Reich was doing last year was he was designing plays. Excuse me. He was designing plays for Carson Wentz to basically protect Carson Wentz. But I think the full offense can be unleashed with Matt Ryan. Tennessee, I'm not worried about them. Like I said, I think they're a little bit of an overrated team. I don't see a lot of games on here that I'm like, oh, man, we got to watch out. Green Bay, obviously. Aaron Rodgers in prime time. He's an elite quarterback. He's given us a lot of help. I'm not sleeping
on the Saints either.
So, you know what? Jalen Hurts has had a lot of success against the Saints, which is why I'm not that much concerned about it. But you know what? Overall, if we lose more than like 5 or 6 games, I think there's a problem, a serious problem.
Yeah. I wouldn't say the Steelers have. I wouldn't say the Steelers have a problem at quarterback. I think more so when you talk about a problem is who is going to start. Whether it's Kenny Pickett, who you invested who you invested, I think when did Kenny Pickett go in the draft again? He wasn't there.
He was the only quarterback going in the first round.
Yeah. So you invested a first round pick in him. You just gave Mitchell Trubisky a 2-year deal, and I think they have Mason Rudolph is still there.
Their quarterback situation doesn't really matter to me because that's why I say they're still going to be, a competitive team because it doesn't even matter if Big Ben's been hurt or they've had random quarterbacks like Duck Hodges and people like that. And they still play competitive football. Yes. It doesn't even matter because Mike Tomlin's a phenomenal coach. He's not going to put the pressure on the quarterback.
Yeah. Pittsburgh, you can put in there, although I'm not worried about them.
I still think Colts, we should win, but in terms of being an easy game, I don't see it as an easy game.
Well, I think it is. I think it is a home game, and I think the last what are we 3-0 at home against Pittsburgh in the last 3 matchups? I think the last time we hosted them was 2016 in Carson's rookie year, and they got manhandled. Yeah, they got manhandled in that game. That was one of my favorite games for rookie Carson. But nonetheless, I mean, the Steelers. Okay. I'm not sleeping on the Saints. They're going to have. I think their dynamic is going to be a little bit different with Jameis Winston. We didn't see him all that much in that offense. The Saints didn't lose a whole lot, other than Sean Payton and Drew Brees. So we'll see what they look like this year. We gotta. I mean, the NFC East is always competitive. If we're being realistic, there's always those kind of games that shouldn't be that they're close when they shouldn't be close. Yeah.
Last season it was the Giants game on the first one on the road. Unacceptable. There's no reason. There's no legitimate reason we should not. If we split with Dallas,
13-10,
I'm fine with that. But in terms of Washington, in terms of the Giants, if we do not sweep those teams, I'm going to have a major, major issue with that. That's unacceptable.
Right.
Those are like bottom feeder teams practically. Washington, they're more of a middle of the pack team. The New York Giants are a bottom feeder team that has no business beating us.
Yeah. So 11-6, 12-5 should be what we're looking for.
6 losses. No more than 6 losses.
Right.
If it is, then it's we got some issues that we gotta be concerned about.
Imagine if they completely underestimate the Lions going in and they get manhandled.
I think the Lions are improved.
Hutchinson has a day with the offensive line.
They've got one of the top offensive lines in the league. But I still think we should handle our business.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, Sirianni's not putting himself in a position to really mess
He's not
this
a rookie
up.
coach anymore. I think that a lot of the things he went through as a coach last year was good for him. It was good for his growth.
Mm-hmm.
We talk a lot
Right.
about what Jalen Hurts is going to do in his second year or his third year starting, his second year starting, his third year overall. But I think we need to talk about what Sirianni is going to do, like how he is going to evolve as a head coach, because he clearly had a little bit of growth that he went through last season. I see that with now more experience, I think that he's also going to be a better coach than he was.
Yeah, and he's not gonna, he's not gonna subject himself to extra responsibilities like he said himself. And this is something
Shane
that
Steichen and all those guys are for.
Well, yeah, this isn't something we necessarily seen with Doug Peterson, where he wanted to call a lot of the shots offensively, and the front office trying to add some sort of compensation in there and extra offensive minds, and trying to create that table of people in 2020, and how disastrous that ended up being, because Dougie P didn't really want to listen to any of them when at that point I thought Rich Scangarello should have been the offensive coordinator, but it ended up not working that way because Dougie P did both. But nonetheless, I mean, I get it. Shane Steichen has some pressure on him, but I don't think it's
fine.
I don't think it's nearly as much as people make it out to be. I don't think he has as much pressure as Jonathan Gannon. So
that's what I was going to say. I'm a lot more concerned about Gannon than I am with Shane Steichen. I think Shane Steichen figured out what the strength of the team was when he took over for play calling, and that's when we just started running it down and running all over every team that we faced against, and led the team and led the league in rushing yards. But here's the problem that I have with Mr. Jonathan Gannon. Last year, I gave him a pass, which I don't usually give a lot of people passes as far as with coaches. Don't really do that a whole lot. But I gave him a pass. I was like, you know what? It's the same thing with Jim Schwartz. Everyone bashed Jim Schwartz, and I always said the same thing. I was like, what the hell are we doing? Like, you guys are bashing a guy that has, like, pretty much no weapons on defense. And he didn't. I mean, we had a good defensive line. We had no linebackers. We had Malcolm Jenkins, and Malcolm Jenkins was our biggest weapon on our defensive side of the ball, pretty much. So now, like, our biggest weapon, or last year, our biggest weapon was probably Darius Slay. Our defensive line was not getting the pressure and the sacks as we're used to seeing, largely because we had a bunch of injuries and we're dealing with stuff. But you know what? Every position on defense, except for safety, is improved. The corners are improved. Bradbury, although he was getting cooked last year, he's upgrade over Steven Nelson. Corner, check. Darius Slay gave up less catches, less yards, and less touchdowns than Jalen Ramsey last year. And everyone says Ramsey's the best corner in the league. If you think that, then you got to have Slay in your top 5. Corner, check. Linebackers, you drafted Cody Dean in the 3rd round. You signed Kaiser White. You still have TJ Edwards and Davion Taylor. So you got a nice infusion of TJ Edwards, he's in a contract year, but he's young, but he still has that experience, much like Kaiser White. You have Nakobe Dean, who was the champion of the Georgia Bulldogs. He was the captain of that defense. He was calling all the plays. He was the quarterback of that defense. His IQ is extremely high. Linebackers improved. Check. Defensive line, pass rush. You're bottom in the league in sacks. You were like 30th in terms of sacks last year. That's unacceptable. Run defense was terrible. That's unacceptable. What do? You bring in Hassan Reddick, a guy that's had double-digit sacks each of the last 3 years. Hometown guy. He's ready to show out for his town. Hassan Reddick, one of my favorite pickups of the season. You get a rejuvenated Fletcher Cox coming back to show people he still has something in the tank. You got Javon Hargrave, who was pretty good last year too. Brandon Graham, the heart and soul of this team, injured. He's coming back off of an Achilles, ready to show that he still has some juice in the tank as well. So I think on all three levels of the defense, pretty much they improved. So if you still play all this soft coverage and all this bullshit, then that's unacceptable. I'm sorry. Like, you can't be doing this, this pity patty crap on defense, backing guys off by like 25 yards and like giving up an easy first down. Letting, for example, you had Derek Carr. Derek Carr was picking us apart. He had a 91% completion percentage against us. Justin Herbert was picking us apart. We literally couldn't get him off the field in that game. Jalen Hurts had a great performance in that game. We could not get Justin Herbert, Derek Carr, Patrick Mahomes off the field when we played against those three guys. Jalen Hurts played well against the Chiefs. He played well against the Chargers. 2 wasted performances by him because our defense could not get these guys off the field because they were just completely picking us apart. So Jonathan Gannon has to get his shit together, and there's no excuses for him because he has all the weapons that I feel that he needs to be a successful coach.
Well, I mean, if you think about it that way, and this goes back to I think this goes back to a conversation that we had on LinkedIn, and where
what up, Randall?
and where I talked about your lines of defense, so to speak. You got 1 through 4. You got your D line, your linebackers, your corners, and then your safeties. Well, a lot of that's predicated on how efficient the defensive line is, how quick they can get to the quarterback and disrupt his rhythm. So he starts to make more mistakes. Well, part of what they did in this offseason is, okay, where they're like, well, they looked at this in a sense that, okay, we're looking across our defensive line. All right. Reddick. You got Reddick, Fletch, Jordan Davis, BG,
D-line's
Hargrave
last year.
Hargrave, Sweat. All right. Reserves. Teron Jackson. Teron Jackson, Barnett. Yes, I know. There's sensitivity there. But when you look across the board, they came at this in a mindset of, all right, well, Milton Williams. Yes, Randall, thank you.
There you go, Randall.
Overall, when you look at it in that respect, they're like, okay, well, an offensive line isn't built to cut. They're not built to protect from every single person on this D line. So somebody somewhere is going to give up a gaping hole. And that's why you bring in a guy,
I personally think
that's why you bring in a guy like
Jordan
Davis, a fantastic nose tackle. That's why you bring in a guy like him. That's why you pair him or put him in a trio with Hargrave and Cox, because they can't protect everybody. You can't allocate any extra resources. You can't, like, there's no shift in protection. You can't afford to have that shift in protection because you got Hassan Reddick threatening on the outside. You got Josh Sweat threatening on the outside. You got a healthy Brandon Graham, and then you got to worry about the guys up the middle. They easily went into this offseason saying, how can we overwhelm the defensive line with as much talent as possible across the board? And I think, like a lot of us, they managed to do it. And being that your first line of defense has to be the strongest, so the ball doesn't get to your second or your third or your fourth, that sets you up better in the long run because you know you're limiting the offense, from getting further down the field and or scoring points. So there you go. There's really no other way to put it. And now it's up to Jonathan Gannon to coordinate these guys properly, put them in the proper positions. Like, I'm not gonna sit here on game day and watch Hassan Reddick being backed up into coverage when he's a pass rusher. I don't want to see that. Like, don't pull that kind of brain dead nonsense, Gannon. I don't want to see it. Right. So I think that's what we're most concerned about. When you bring certain guys in, they're supposed to do one job and one job only. So that allows you to open your playbook to other, to more flexibility in what you can call, because you have the personnel to do it.
Yeah, I feel like if we don't have one of the top teams in sacks,
Mm-hmm.
that's going to be another major problem that I have with this team. Like, how many times in the season last year were we watching the team and we're like, why the hell are we not blitzing? Even Fletcher Cox was calling him out. Like, everyone hates on Fletcher Cox and says, oh, well, Fletcher Cox doesn't put up numbers and stuff like that. Well, what do you want this man to do when they're literally not even blitzing? You have a guy like Fletcher Cox who's a known great defensive lineman. He gets double teamed and sometimes he's been triple teamed in his career. That's how good he is. But you're going to play a soft defense and prevent him from being himself. I think that's a major reason why Fletcher Cox is not being the Fletcher Cox that we used to see. So this year, with all these dudes on the team, they need to put them in a position to be great. And how they're going to be great is by sending them after the quarterback. Send all these dudes downfield or get them downhill going at these quarterbacks. Josh Sweat has a nasty first step. I just got to give credit to Josh Sweat. Josh Sweat is an amazing football player that's just gotten better every year. And I think this is the year we're going to see him take that step into being that double-digit sack kind of guy. His sack numbers have gone up every single year, so it's only math at this point that this guy's going to get 10 to 12 sacks. Reddick, I think, will also give you 10 to 12 sacks. So if you have two guys that's giving you 10 to 12 sacks, and well, what's that going to do to the middle of the defense? What's that going to do to a guy like Fletcher Cox? It's going to completely free him up. And we're going to see the Fletcher Cox of the old days this season. That's my prediction for the season. He's going to show that he still has it in the tank. And, he's either going to leave or go somewhere else and, enjoy the rest of his career. But Fletch still has it in him. And if we play a bunch of soft defenses, it's just going to piss me off. It's just really going to piss me off.
Right. Like I said, you're just asking for trouble with combining the amount of weapons that the Eagles were able to put on one side of the football, specifically the defensive line. And as we've seen before, when you have the depth around Fletch, then that's when he takes the utmost advantage and looks more consistent. And especially when you talk about last year, when you take away a guy like Brandon Graham, who he has been with as a defensive partner for how many years, and they got the top-notch communication that they got between each other to know their responsibilities on defense, and that kind of thing, and him having to work around that with Josh Sweat. And when you lose a guy like Brandon Graham, that creates limitations in what your coordinator can call defensively. So again, that's another detriment to a lack of an explosive Fletcher Cox, because that's one less player on the field that the offense has to worry about protecting their quarterback from. So I mean that's why you put the kind of guys that you did around him. And the same goes for Javon Hargrave. If they know that Fletch can't get to them, if they know that Fletch can't get to them at the level that he used to, then they can single in, and they can dial themselves in on keeping Javon away from the quarterback if they know they got the personnel to protect said quarterback. There's a lot of detail that goes into it that makes a big difference. And the Eagles have set up a defense that can really make some noise. But of course, that's on the coordinator to put them in the positions to do so.
100%. So we got to see that. So Robert wants to know, do you guys buy the trade rumors of the Eagles being interested in Robert Quinn? Personally, am I buying it? Yeah, I am buying it, because that's just the MO of this team. They're always trying to add pass rushers and stuff to the team. So I'm sure that if they can get Robert Quinn for a reasonable draft compensation, then they'll probably bring it in, and he'll be a part of their rotation. But as far as going out of their way to get him, no, I don't think they're going to do that, because I think our pass rush is already elite. And he says Cox has to eat, and blitzing is how you do it. I don't get how you allow a defense to give up 5 to 10 free yards because you don't want to get beat. Exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. And that's why it was so frustrating to watch the defense play. And if he does the same thing with all these players that we brought in to help him out, I'm sorry, but he has to go. Like, you can't keep him after this season. So hopefully he gets hired as a head coach. He got a bunch of interviews last year. So you know what? Screw it. Robert Quinn had 18.5 sacks last year. If you add him to this pass rush, that really would be nasty.
Did he really? That's a huge number.
I think no one realized he had that good of a season, basically because the Bears stink and no one watches them. So that's probably has a lot to do with it.
Yeah, let me see. That's got me intrigued here. Let's see.
While you're looking now,
wow. Yeah, he did. 18.5. His career high was 19 for the Rams back in 2013. Wow. That's crazy.
I would take him.
And let's see. He is. So I'm assuming he will be 32.
He's a $17 million cap hit for this year. I don't know. I don't think the Eagles are going to want to pay like that high of a salary.
No, but if you go in the direction of saying that this is a guy that can that can kind of preserve Brandon Graham in a way, so he's not subjected to a snap count that's too high for him coming off of an Achilles, then maybe, because and it's not just about BG either. I don't agree with bringing back.
BG starts anyway. I don't think he starts.
No,
or Reddick.
No, and but if you imagine a combination of Reddick and Robert Quinn, that would be ridiculous. But no, I could see a situation where Robert Quinn could even take snaps away.
I wouldn't be surprised if we had another pass rusher by the trade deadline.
Yeah,
not at all. I wouldn't surprise me.
But like I said, the only way I see Robert Quinn here is if he takes snaps away from Barnett and Graham in the rotation. I think that's where it would make.
So you're going to pay $17 million for a guy that's just going to be a rotational guy? I don't think you're going to do that.
Yeah, no, but that's all I'm saying. I think that's the only way it makes sense, because I don't know if they're going to take them away from Josh Sweat. And obviously, they're not going to take them away from Hassan Reddick. So I think if the Eagles were worse off from the edge rusher position, if they had less bodies even, then Robert Quinn would make more sense. But I think they have plenty of firepower and depth going forward that they can, that they can maybe equal a single season sack total that Quinn was able to do for a bad Bears team. And that could very well equate to less than 17 million if you combine 3 players on the team that make less than that, for the year. So you're saving money that way.
Yeah, and Randall also says I wouldn't mind getting Jesse Bates or Chuck Clark. So I would take either one of them as well. I know that a lot of people are saying, "Oh, you should wait until the safety position plays out." Well, if you look in the history of this team, you know that this position is kind of cursed for us. I'm not even joking right now. I mean, if you go back to 2008, we got rid of Brian Dawkins, or we let him walk and he went to the Broncos. Ever since then, our safeties were trash every year until we signed Malcolm Jenkins. And Malcolm Jenkins went to the Saints, and our safeties haven't necessarily been trash, but I'm kind of worried right now that if we don't find a real solution on this safety position, it's going to be a major issue. And I know Jesse Bates would probably cost more than Chuck Clark, but Chuck Clark is on a reasonable contract.
Probably around $15 million.
He's like a Swiss Army knife type of player. He's like a Malcolm Jenkins type of player. Because if you look in the Ravens defense, they are always putting him in different positions. They're putting him in safety. They're putting him in linebacker. They're putting him in the box. They're putting him up, deep. They're moving him all over in the defense. And if you look in the Eagles' history, when they brought in Malcolm Jenkins, that was a major reason why they liked him, and they used him in all those different positions, just like how the Ravens do with Chuck Clark. So Chuck Clark is behind Kyle Hamilton and Marcus Williams now. If he wants to get playing time, this is the place for him to go. So
right.
I think that we should probably work out a deal with the Ravens. I think it would be a great trade. And, their receiver position is kind of lacking in the depth department. So Jalen Reagor, maybe a change of scenery, playing with Lamar Jackson, maybe that helps him out. Maybe that helps him out, get his career turned around. And we get Chuck Clark, and maybe you got to throw in a draft pick or something to get the deal done. But I think that would definitely be a great trade.
I mean, isn't Jalen Reagor the perfect replacement for Hollywood Brown?
My boy JJ would probably not be cool with that trade because I've talked JJ from the Gauntlet podcast. He's a diehard.
Right.
But,
right. I mean, on paper, it makes sense when you on paper it makes sense when you go from a talent perspective. But
there's Joey Shakes.
Yeah.
What's up, Joey?
What?
Hey. What's going on?
How you doing?
You just chilling there. What's up? What's up?
I just sat down, literally just now. I literally just sat down. I'm shot. I'm tired.
Right. Long day?
Long day.
So we're just talking about safety. So how would you feel about the Eagles going after Chuck Clark or Jesse Bates or someone like that?
If they could renegotiate for Chuck Clark, I would like it. I mean, it's only like a $4.6 million cap hit this year. I mean, he's what, 20,
that's what I'm saying.
27, 28, something like that. So, I mean, I think next year will be more, I think going into next offseason will be more of an offseason to maybe get a free agent safety, maybe to get Jesse Bates, maybe to, trade for Jesse Bates or, go after a Derwin James if he's really available and the Eagles want to pay him a lot of money or something like that. Like, I think it's going to be more of a next year type thing. If they really need to do something, I think it comes to the waiver wire, guys coming off other rosters, because I'm okay with Marcus Epps. Anthony Harris, I'm not a big fan of, but really if one of those guys gets hurt, there's really no depth behind it. I'm not really interested in Kevon Wallace. I don't know what Reed Blankenship could do. So the depth, it kind of worries me right now. So.
Right.
Nice.
Right.
We got Randall joining the conversation.
I think I think the structure of the team suits a upgraded safety, and just like you said, when you got concerns at the depth position, and when you're talking about the position that the Ravens are in right now, and how Jalen Reagor was
Ravens don't need Chuck Clark.
No, and especially when you got Marlon Humphrey when he's still the starting corner. You just invested in Kyle Hamilton, Marcus Williams. You just paid money for, who was also on the Eagles' radar, but he preferred the Baltimore Ravens instead. But we were just talking about this, and Reagor is almost a perfect replacement for Hollywood Brown, who they just lost in the trade to the Arizona Cardinals, I believe. And Arizona kind of overpaid for him, but that's not the here nor there. So you wouldn't. It's like, why would you say no to that kind of transaction when you're kind of down on this guy. But we know Howie Roseman in the front office to this point. They're not going to just flat out cut a first round pick. That's why Andre Dillard is still here. But at the same time, when you look at the post June 1st designations, the price of Jalen Reagor against the cap has already dropped to, I think, about $1.8 million. So they're not going to lose anything in trading this guy or even cutting him for that matter. So I don't know why it just doesn't make sense to drop him for a Chuck Clark when we already know that Andre Chausseret has incredible value on special teams. You're not going to see him on the field for defensive snaps. Marcus Epps is an up-and-coming player who's in his third year. Kayvon Wallace has a lot to prove to this point, and I think he's finally maybe taking that initiative. I have no idea. His Snapchat suggests otherwise. I don't see him at NovaCare all that much. But other than that, Anthony Harris is here on a 1-year deal, so you're not looking at that great of a structure from the safety position, and this could very well set you up going forward for that kind of risk. We have to call it a risk because we don't know how a upcoming player is going to fit into the defense, but that leaves you in a good space of opportunity to go and give somebody a contract extension like a Marcus Williams who they missed out on. So it just puts me in a position to think that maybe the Eagles are just going to ride this out for now, see how well they do at the safety spot, knowing that they've upgraded the secondary and they've upgraded the first 3 levels of that defense, that they may not have to worry about it as much, and see what ultimately happens, and then they will upgrade accordingly.
I hear everything you're saying right now as far as with the safeties. The only reason that I'm really majorly concerned about it is because I've already seen it happen to the team. I've seen it happen when we got rid of Ryan Dawkins.
Right.
We had Nate Allen and Kurt Coleman. We had bums at safeties until we got Jenkins, and then Jenkins was really good.
Jacoby Stevens is not a safety, Waylon. Thought I'd put that out there. He got moved to linebacker. He's not a safety.
I'm just worried about going through the same situation again. So I hear what you saying about Epps and Wallace and all of them, but I'm the type of person that I gotta see him do it. I gotta see Marcus Epps with more playing time actually prove that he can be a viable option. Otherwise, I just don't know. So if we go into the season and Marcus Epps and Anthony Harris are getting cooked, then that's what I'm saying. At the trade deadline, you got to explore your options because we're gonna be.
I think if we were
a playoff team, we're trying.
I think overall, if we were okay with Anthony Harris and Rodney McLeod last year, to which Rodney has already suffered multiple knee injuries and tearing that ACL, if we were okay with those two as the starters, then you don't have much to lose in seeing what a guy like Marcus Epps is capable of, because the depth last year was the same as it was this year. You just made one personnel change. So
I hear everything you're saying, but if you can get Chuck Clark without having to give up a lot, I think you do it. I think it just makes sense.
That's still fair, yeah.
I still feel like we'd have to give up something on the O-line for it, though. I'm talking depth, though.
Andre Dillard.
Dillard for Chuck Clark straight up?
I would do it.
They're getting rid of Dillard. I don't think it's going to happen. You don't got
to. And you know what I feel like I'm with Joey. I feel like they're not going to get rid of Dillard. I just feel like.
No, they don't. Raven Clark's been hurt 2 times, and we got him off an ACL and we acquired him. He's already been hurt twice. I don't trust that guy's staying healthy or being stable at that left tackle position. I mean, I don't think they get rid of him because he's in good shape now. I mean, he didn't play great last year for a couple of games. For Malott, he played, not great, not bad, but I thought he played pretty solid at left tackle. So I mean, maybe they wanted to trade him at one point. Maybe they don't anymore. So, I mean, since Nate Herbig's gone, and then you have Cam Jurgens, Isaac Samal might be the next right guard. I mean, I'm not.
He is.
I think
I'm
they should
concerned about the offensive line depth, majorly concerned about it. Behind Dickerson, you have Soa Alpeda, and you have Kyle Anderson. Fine. And you have Kyle Anderson behind. Yeah. You have him behind Seumalo. So. If one of those guys gets hurt, you have 2 guys that aren't that experienced, don't have a lot of playing time. So, in my personal opinion, I would just feel a lot more comfortable if we had somebody at backup guards that was, more experienced than what we currently have right now. So, I hope Dickerson doesn't get hurt. I hope no one gets hurt in our offensive line.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I think it'll be rough.
Right guard to me is the worst off because you just moved Isaac Seumalo over there. And even prior to that, you really had nobody in position, even if right guard was their natural position, to know that moving Isaac Seumalo and having him learn the right guard spot, he's already the best player at that position. So that goes to show what the depth looks like at right guard. So what are they gonna do? Move Jack Driscoll over there? Do they like Jack Anderson enough? I trust Suo Opeta more at left than I do Jack Anderson at right. That's just me. But overall, I think we would be in a worse position if Isaac did not agree to play the right guard spot, because realistically, if we're looking at it this way, you're not going to move Landon Dickerson. You're not going to move Jordan Mailata. Those two are staying put at the left side. You don't fix what's not broken. Center, you already have set up between Jason Kelsey and Cam Jurgens, since Cam was Kelsey's pick. That's who he handpicked to replace him. Right guard, who did you really have before the positional change with Isaac coming off of his, I think he mentioned like a Liz Frank injury, and on top of his Achilles as well, that he had 2 different surgeries for. So right now he's 100%. He was humble enough to make this change knowing that Landon balled out next to Jordan Mailata. So we need to give a lot more thanks to Seumalo than a lot of people are thinking of, because that right guard spot that would have been a massive weakness, especially with knowing that Lane Johnson is getting up there in age, but you already have some good depth behind him. So yeah, to me, right guard was the weakest link if Seumalo did not make that change.
Yeah, I think Driscoll's going to be your future right tackle. Maybe, I don't know, because I think when they threw him to the fire the first year, I thought he played pretty good. And I think he just needs more work there, but I don't think he's the guy at right guard. I never thought he was ever the guy at right guard, but he's solid.
Right.
Seumalo, I don't know. They've always ranked him higher than he really is. Like, I think his pass protection is very suspect. I think his run blocking is really well, but his pass blocking kind of worries me a little bit. I mean, I think you're going to have a 3-man competition at right guard this year, plus a lot of rumors about Cam Jurgens, playing next to Kelsey and then moving to center next year. So I think they want to get him some type of playing time or something. So we'll see.
Yeah, I still feel that the right guard job is Isaac's to lose, being that no one else really has enough veteran experience like he does, and positional versatility. Those are the top 2 things that Isaac has going for him, being that he was also a part of that Super Bowl winning team. So he does know what it takes. However, I had a point that I completely missed on. Being that Andre Dillard is also bulking up, because as we know from a technical standpoint with his footwork, he's fantastic. But how often was he just prone to being bull rushed and thrown back, and how notorious it was when we were hearing in practice that Josh Sweat was just having his way with him on every single snap. Well, that's one thing that Dillard has addressed. So maybe
Derek Barnett made him cry. I mean,
right. Right, exactly right. Of all people, Mr. It's always him of all people, right? But so you would have to imagine that maybe, with him bulking up and the tackle depth not looking as opportunistic for him to make an impact at that spot, that maybe he makes a move to guard somewhere where he can take advantage and move up the depth chart. So I mean, that's probably another reason why they don't want to get rid of Andre Dillard anytime soon, aside the fact that him and Rager were former first round picks, and they're not a team that's just going to cut bait with somebody that they invested a lot in, despite
I don't think
circumstances.
they want to get rid of Dillard because they feel like if Mulata gets hurt, then he can step in and.
Well, they've always prioritized offensive
Stuff,
line more than receiver.
you know?
Offensive line to the Eagles, offensive and defensive line to the Eagles is a premium no matter what. So that's why they're going to hold on to a guy like Dillard more so Jalen Reagor, despite what they say. But Rager's on the outside looking in right now, just as much as Arthega-Whiteside is at tight end. I mean, we got to be real about that one.
No doubt. I think Rager's in trouble. We talked about this earlier at the beginning, but we saw Devin Allen finish with the third highest all time for the 110-meter hurdles. So
he's ready.
He's
ready.
He might be the fastest dude on the team right now. So, Reagor was already plummeting down the receiver chart because we know Quez, Devontae, and AJ is going to be top 3 receivers. Everyone knows that, but special teams is where Reagor could kind of separate himself. And
I like Britton Covey. I like that Britton Covey kid.
Now I don't know about that. I feel like Devin Allen, it's his job to lose now, in my opinion.
I like Britton Covey. I it's not that I don't believe in Allen, but I mean, he hasn't played football in 6 years. So, I mean, Britton Covey, just came off playing in college. And I watched Joey's videos on the kid, and I think he's so shaky, and in some of his videos, you're like, here he goes, he's about to get tackled, and the son of a gun just escapes, and there he goes, and you're like, wait, what? I really feel like he could be our sleeper on our team this year, honest, serious.
I'm ready to see the preseason games, because when I see the preseason games, I'm really going to be watching a lot of these games.
Yeah.
I think Rager's getting traded before the training camp.
Me too.
I really do. I feel like it's not even since the A.J. Brown sign, but they've added so many bodies, whether they're starters, backups, practice squad. I feel like getting Weedfall and Josh Hammond, and they're just adding so many bodies at this point. It's just plus Britton Covey, now Devon Allen. So it's not only he can't start as a receiver, but he probably won't have any chance as a special teamer. Which when he came to the NFL, when we drafted him, we thought he had some big special teams pedigree that came with him and be productive with that, which he hasn't. So I feel like there's because he's going through what he's going through right now with the whole Jeff Gladney thing and everything that's been happening the past couple of years. I feel like they're just letting him do what he's got to do, take care of his business, and I feel like they're just going to put him in a new spot. I feel like they're going to, I don't know what team it's going to be. I mean, you could say the Falcons that need receivers. You could say a few teams, but I feel like it's going to happen.
Lions.
I do.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I agree.
Before we signed Devin Allen, I didn't really feel like he had as much of a challenge when it came to special teams. I felt like he would probably stay on the team just because of special teams. But you mentioned Covey and you mentioned Devin Allen, that you brought those guys in. I think it presents a much bigger challenge for him. So if he doesn't step his game up and really lock in and, try to prove everyone wrong, then I just don't see how he's going to be able to stay on the team.
The first step with Devon Allen, Britton Covey are special teams. That's what I'm looking at first. But secondly, what I kind of want to look at with them too is can they actually provide for this offense? Can they actually be that Tavon Austin type gadget receiver if they could, want to put them on end arounds, jet sweeps, screen passes, put them in the slot, put them on slants, go routes, whatever you want to do. Kind of like the Matt Collins role in 2017, where every time he got into a game, he kind of produced a little bit, didn't get as much playing time. But yeah, it's really exciting because I feel like we're going to get a couple gems out of these undrafted guys. I do. I think they brought in some really I've been impressed. They've been Mario Goodrich got paid a lot of money. Jack Stahl got paid a lot of money last year, and he's turned out to be a good blocking tight end, not getting the ball as much, but got Mario Goodrich, and now getting these undrafted guys and Britton Covey, Devon Allen, and there's just so much. I feel like there's so much more that they could do with these guys, and I think first is special teams, then see what they could do if they could contribute to this offense. So
exactly, yeah.
Right.
I second that.
like you're even in a spot where there's no attraction at all when you're thinking of special teams, and sometimes that's what breaks a game open. I mean, nobody's excited about Boston Scott being back there. Nobody's excited about Greg Ward being back there. Fair catch Ward. Nobody's excited at this point of Jalen Reagor being back there because of his complete inconsistency, and that was a part of the reason why he was even drafted in the first place. Is the dynamic offering that he brings to special teams, and the twitchy explosiveness that he possesses, and being able to really take advantage of those situations. And offensively, when you bring up, Joey, the fact of those end arounds, jet sweeps, any kind of those gadget type of plays, that was a lot of stuff that we were looking for Jalen Reagor to do. And while we have implemented that a little bit with Quez Watkins, it hasn't proven consistent necessarily, since he has other responsibilities on the offensive side of the football when we're trying to take advantage of a guy that can take the top off of a defense. So being that we have to allocate his resources over there, there's really nobody else behind him that can take away from what we were asking him to do, what we were asking Jalen Reagor to do. And, that puts you in a spot where, okay, well, you see a guy like Deion Kane coming up in OTAs. You see John Hightower taking advantage of all people, and he kind of went to the wayside. So, I mean, I get it. It's a sad situation that Reagor has been a part in, and but the longer he's away, the further he's going to fall behind for some of these guys to climb up the depth chart, and that window's just going to continue to close. I don't care where you were selected in the draft. Talent is talent at the end of the day, and if a team can use you to your full advantage consistently and do it as often as possible, then you're going to end up being the odd man out, because that player is going to be a better fit than you are.
Exactly. What's everybody's fondest memory of Reagor too? It's not some wild catch in the end zone that maybe got taken away by some penalty, or it's his drop balls that could have won games. And I'm sorry, if that's my fondest memory of you, I don't want that on my team. I don't.
I mean, it's either the return touchdown that he had against the Packers in his rookie year, or being behind a pancake block by Jordan Mailata week 1 against the Falcons, where there's really no context behind that, because who was afraid of the Falcons at that point? That point in time,
guy has been given every opportunity.
Right.
Me and you, Lindy, we had a live stream before the draft, and I think it was before the draft, and I was stressing out. I mean, you were stressing me out, but I was stressing myself out too. But okay, this man has been given every opportunity, not just offensively, but holy crap, guys! I feel like the less time he has on punt returns, the better he plays. The 2 times he actually, besides the playoff game, the 2 times before that he muffed the ball. Okay, he actually ran really well. I feel like it's the total opposite. The more time he has on a punt return, the worse he is. I don't get it. I understand he's a first round pick, and usually you give these receivers 3 years. But with him, there's a mental aspect, and there's just too much personal stuff going on with him. It's a business at the end of the day. So I'm not trying to exclude what bad things, everything happens. It's life. We all go, people, we lose people we love, and that's just the natural part of life. But I just feel like he needs a fresh start. I don't hate the guy. He's probably the nicest guy off the field. It's just when it comes to football and it comes to just how he talks to fans, and, he's trying to get attention on social media. He's got to stay away from social media. A.J. Brown gets signed and he deletes everything off his IG. He's just bringing more attention to himself. And I think the Eagles did say they didn't give a crap. And Zach Pascal, a lot of people are saying Zach Pascal is not going to be the number.
Yeah, there you go. That's another one.
I think he's going to be. I think that's Nick Sirianni's pet. I mean, he averaged 600 to 700 yards in 2 seasons, each 600 to 700 yards. So I mean, I feel like there's just no room. Plus the Devin Allen that we talked about. He's at the beginning of when they signed him, I was like, who the hell is this guy? Number one, number two, they signed him to a 3-year deal, so they must know something more than what we know. And I was like, holy crap! He's Olympic hurler. And then as the weeks went on, and then obviously yesterday or today, you know, and then seeing like he beat like the world champion hurdles, and you know had the third fastest time in the world. I mean, it's crazy.
Of all
Like
time.
they're bringing in guys that have that
Of all
bringing in
time.
guys that have that kickback attitude, like
Yes.
Tyron Johnson, the 6th round pick at Kansas. Like those kickback, those guys that significantly aren't looked at, but these guys are so hungry, and like they're just. I feel like this competition is gonna be so good, like training camp. I feel like we're gonna find some good pieces. I really do.
It feels like an analytical youth movement that they're having, where they're predicating a lot of their decisions based on a player's athleticism and where they test the highest and how they can take full advantage of that kind of athleticism, that kind of talent. And to your point on Zach Pascal, I see him as the ultimate Arcega-Whiteside replacement, since Jay Jaw has moved to tight end, where he's bulked up a little bit, and like there's really nothing to take out of that. He's not going to make it as a tight end.
No.
I'm sorry. If anything, the most tight ends the Eagles are going to keep going into the regular season is maybe 3. They might settle with 2, just because I feel they're going to run more 11 than 12 personnel. Not to say that they won't run 12, but they're more optimized for 11 with all these receivers that we have. But yeah, that's where I see Zach Pascal the most, is taking Arcega-Whiteside's role, where we were supposed to use him as that physical type of receiver, especially attractive in red zone packages, where you can make bang plays in the middle of a group of tacklers and still hold on to the football. That's why Zach has lasted as long as he has in the NFL. He's not the fastest guy, but he has proven to be a good 50-50 pass catcher, and using his body to shield the football from defenders. That's where he makes most of his money.
Yeah, he's got a good break. Like, he's not fast, but he's got a good break on his route. Kind of like Zach Ertz, kind of the same thing. Like when that signing first happened, I was like, good signing, but this better not be the veteran wide receiver we've been trying to look for. I was so freaking pissed off. I was like, don't even tell me you copped out $1.1 million for the cheapest guy that you literally just he just wanted to play for Nick Sirianni. He just wanted to play for him, and we got him easily. So now with him in that rotation, you could use him, and I don't know, you could line him up inside, outside. You could put him in red zone. I mean, you could do so much with him. I think he'll be
And ultimately, it's only because Sirianni knows how to use a guy like Pascal better than he does Arcega-Whiteside, just from an experience standpoint. He's going to be in the right place at the right time, and that just
how to use Arcega-Whiteside. Is there a coach that knows how to use him?
Yeah.
Another analytics pick that didn't work out whatsoever, and everybody was so enamored about him having the most red zone touchdowns out of Stanford.
It's so crazy right now, because after like the reports came out that like Jeffrey Lurie like stepped back after the Sirianni hiring, like it really scares me to death that I can actually think that some of these picks weren't Howie's. Like I can actually. It could be right. I mean, I hope it's right, because I mean, we sit here as fans and we say to ourselves, when these picks happen, we're like, how the hell is this guy further than this guy in the draft, or rated higher? That wasn't best player available. Like I feel like Jeffrey Lurie had a lot to do with a lot of these picks. I don't know. He stepped back after the Sirianni hire, because after the Sirianni hire, like the past 2 off seasons have been really, really good. And Howie has had the freedom to do a lot more. So when he comes to this final 53-man roster, and obviously the extra roster spots that we're going to have because of the new rules, I feel like Howie's going to have full control of the final. I feel like the more control Howie has had, the better he had. I don't know. It's weird, because maybe we're thinking these are all Howie picks, but I don't know. I don't have the answer, but it's telling me that someone's been pulling back and forth with him, for a while, and. I don't know what the truth is.
Well,
even
Jeffrey Lurie also told him that he wants them to draft more Alabama players.
It shows you that just from that comment itself, it shows you that he had somewhat control of like what schools he wanted in the draft.
Yes,
it's ridiculous, man. Like I'm shocked.
I mean,
I'm shocked right now. I'm sitting here. And I'm just
you just saying it kind of blows me away right now.
I went to that drafting, and if we can get one good player, that was.
I mean, even from a front office standpoint, when was the last time, if ever, we heard of Howie Roseman having 2 assistant GMs in the front office the way it was set up?
Yeah.
So I mean, think about that. When was the last time we've heard of 2 assistant GMs? I mean, it seems that there's some extra coordination going on with with where they're deciding to put these people in their roles. Like you look at Alec Hallerby and John Ferrari and guys that have built a rapport in this franchise for how many years. They get put in a spot where they're more utilized, and then you're just like you're reshaping the culture from that standpoint. You're reshaping the culture from a player selection standpoint out of the draft. I mean, seeing things seem to be trending in the right direction. So now you don't want to create a domino effect where you're going backwards instead of forward, and all this positive change you're making now, and you end up falling flat on your face. So, and that's just going forward. That's just it's gonna show on the football field on how consistent this team is going to be from this year on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, do you guys think it's a good thing or a bad thing seeing the amount of people that comes to work for the Eagles front office and they end up leaving and getting like a higher position? Do you think that's more of like, we have a really good front office, or do you think that's more of like an indictment on Howie because people don't want to like work for Howie?
No. I don't think it has so much to do with that, the last part of it. I think it just has so much to do with, like, you see it throughout the whole entire NFL. Anytime a team does really well or goes above expectations, teams are getting cherry-picked, whether it's front office or whether it's something else, because they're like, wait, okay, so-and-so had that power, and I see what they did with that, with what they were told they were able to do. So I think it just has something to do with that. I don't think it has so much to do with maybe nobody liking Howie. But then I'm also not saying it's not without Howie being not liked either, because I've also heard stories that a lot of people don't like Howie. So
right. I mean, I don't think it's anything to do with it. I think a lot of people seem to think that way, but I just think even before Howie took the job as a GM in 2010, if you look at just the last 15, 20 years, this is one of the most well-run organizations. This is one of the organizations that's always winning 10 games, 11 games, 12 games, always in the playoffs, NFC championships, been to 2 Super Bowls in that time, won one of those Super Bowls. So I just feel like it has a lot to do with, the Eagles are an organization that, as much as the fans like to say they don't know what they're doing, the last 20 years shows that they do know what they're doing. So when you have that, I feel like when you're looking for a new GM, you look at the most successful teams, the perennial playoff teams, and the Eagles are one of those teams.
I mean, the Eagles front office has created 2 GMs that are still active in the NFL right now, and Andrew Berry and Joe Douglas. And then you got how many assistant GMs? To me, it promotes more so. To me, it promotes more so of a stability than a dysfunction, because you're bringing these people in with that kind of opportunity to better their craft at their position, at their role, or at their responsibility. And if they get to a point of growth where the Eagles don't necessarily have it because of the array of talent that they already have in the front office, then it's just going to open opportunity for them to look elsewhere for a team that's in need of a specific role, to where Cleveland ends up getting an Andrew Berry, and then the Jets are starting to turn it around a little bit in the draft, more so because of Joe Douglas and what he wants to bring to that football team. So I like
their draft. I like the Jets draft.
So,
the Jets are cursed. Stop it! I live in the state. I live in the state. I know what happens around here. They get excited about every day.
But I think overall it just shows a positive sense of structure to demonstrate that there's always a sense of growth in the front office and what the Eagles are promoting. So yeah, I don't take it necessarily as a bad thing.
Yeah.
Top 5 worst Eagles draft busts of all time.
Oh,
Marcus Smith.
Yep.
I'm gonna say Danny Watkins.
Oh, I forgot about it.
I'm also gonna say Sidney Jones.
Yeah.
I gotta put Sidney Jones in there. I'll put Rager in there.
I was gonna put Rager.
Wow.
We should have
Just so early. So early.
Number five.
Barnett.
I could go with Barnett, but I was gonna say Freddie.
He's a bust.
I think he's a bust. I mean, in my opinion, he's a bust. He was a top 15 pick in the draft, and he just really hasn't done anything.
Barnett's more disappointing to me than Rager is. I'll put it that way.
You don't think Barnett goes to another team and all of a sudden just turns into like Terrell Suggs?
No, there's no
at the edge.
No chance.
No chance.
Not when he hasn't really.
I'll put him on the list.
We're the only team that wanted him. No one wanted to sign him. That's why we ended up bringing him back.
Yeah, and that was the same draft that we just missed on Hassan Reddick too. He went a pick before Barnett. But I think it's more predicated on the pedigree that Barnett had coming out of Tennessee and how it applied to the Eagles because that's what I'm saying. Like, he broke Reggie White's sack record at Tennessee. I mean, granted, I'm sure Rager broke some records at TCU, but they were nowhere near as prolific as what Barnett did for Tennessee.
Donnell Pumphrey.
That's
broke.
That's a good choice.
Wasn't he a late rounder though?
Record at San Diego State.
He's still a bust. Like people were saying, he's going to be the next Darren Sproles.
All right, I made some like overhyped videos about him, so we'll forget about those. But just saying, I don't know.
Randall, who would be your top five?
Oh, but basically similar to yours. I think you said Freddie Mitchell was your number 5 pick. That's who I would have put as my
Yeah, I really can't think of anybody else. I'm trying to.
Yeah, because like I was having a hard time thinking. Yeah,
I was gonna say Aguilar, but I can't put Aguilar because Aguilar at least had a good season, and he at least was a major part of why we won the Super Bowl.
Well, he's better.
Exactly.
When it mattered most, he contributed. Yes,
exactly.
I mean, he had the most catches in the Super Bowl.
He gets separation. That's.
He just couldn't catch.
He couldn't catch. Exactly. Just couldn't catch.
That's why when Philly 500 says like regular, I feel like it's low key disrespectful because
every time he does that, so I'm not just the only one.
Because look,
so I'm not just the only one. Okay.
He could not catch, but he could still get open. Rager could not get open. If he lines up against somebody that's over 6 feet tall and like over 200 pounds, he's literally getting put on the dirt. Like he can't even run past them.
If he made those 2 catches in that Giants game, like he would have been the hero. Like I would have liked him a lot more. But after that game, I was pretty much done after that game.
That's what solidified it for me. Done.
Yeah, that was the
Rager. The fact that we were going for him for the game on the line was stupid. When you have Devontae Smith, it makes no sense. Makes absolutely no sense.
Take this dumb playoff game we had, and you Miles Sanders is almost gone for 3 weeks, and you use him, pretty much almost the whole game, and Boston Scott and Jordan Howard was kind of injured, I think, for that game or whatever, so they didn't use him till like the third quarter. But Devontae Smith didn't get catch till the third quarter. I mean, what number one receiver is not getting the ball till the third?
You got to give him the ball a lot more.
It's ridiculous, man. That's
just like when Aguilar dropped that wide open go ahead touchdown against the Falcons.
Yeah, the Falcons. He dropped the one back in the Patriots. The Vikings one where
that was terrible.
The Patriots one, he grabbed his knee after, like, shut up, bro.
He was embarrassed. And it's crazy. We picked up $9.3 million. Then he goes to the Raiders, balls out. Then he, Then he goes to the Patriots on a bigger contract, and he's not perfect, but he's doing. He's not like a number one over there, but he's doing all right.
He's doing okay.
Listen, I know everyone brings up that we drafted Rager over Justin Jefferson, but you want to know what people don't do? They don't bring up that we took Jordan Matthews in the second round when we could have had Devontae Adams.
Oh God!
For some reason, no one
I remember that.
Ever remembers that?
I did until just now.
We brought Jordan Matthews back like 17 times after.
Mm-hmm.
That was horrible.
Isn't he a converted tight end now for the 49ers?
I don't remember if he signed anywhere. I just saw reports that he was switching positions.
Oh, he's very slow. He's not slow. He's not fast enough to be a good receiver. So
At least we almost got 1,000 yards out of him once.
His rookie year? Yeah. What was that? His rookie year?
No, it was in 16. It was in 16 with Zach Ertz. They both almost had 1,000 yards. Yeah, I think. Yeah, that sounds about right.
The one that I hate Rager most was when he dropped the easy bomb against Dallas. Like Deshaun or Macklin or anyone would have caught that. Yeah, absolutely.
So do you guys think that I can't even say his name, Cloudy is riding the coattails of that hit that he did in college?
Clowney?
Yeah.
What hit that he did in college?
That huge hit where Buddy's helmet
flew off. Player than he's been an NFL player. He's actually never had double-digit sacks.
Exactly. That's what I'm getting at. Like, they hype him up so much like he's this big-time guy, but it's like he's never had double-digit sacks.
Well, he has good numbers he has good numbers every year, so he's productive every year. So
productive.
It's more like a plateau of underperforming.
11 million, and not really.
Right, I mean, he's not a bust. He's not a bust, but you got to remember he was the first overall pick. So
and he was injured all the damn time too.
He was supposed to be like the next greatest thing.
Yeah, he was supposed to be like the next coming. Yeah,
but
I feel like Chase Young's gonna be the same thing.
Me too. Yeah, that's what I was getting at. That's exactly what I was getting at.
He's gonna be like hyped up to be nothing.
Yeah. I was actually just on a podcast before I hopped on here, and some guy was talking about that all Chase Young does is try to chase sacks. He doesn't try to do team style football. He's always just worrying about himself. So if you got that coming from your fans, that ain't good.
Washington's not going to win. That's why they're not going to be that good.
Especially with Terry McLaurin holding out for an extension.
Good for him, bro. He should get more money. He should.
They think Jahan Dotson's going to save the day. No, I don't know about that.
Me neither. Curtis Samuel's coming off injury, so I mean.
Goodbye.
Yep.
The hell was that?
They still got. Was it Chris? I think Chris Sims II. That's kind of useful. Logan Thomas should be coming back off of injury.
Chris Sims.
Antonio Gibson.
Yeah, I still have Antonio Gibson, but it's all about who the quarterback is.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, like we talked about it earlier, Jim. I do trust.
Trash, but
no, like I said, I do trust.
Anytime there's a big moment, Carson Wentz is just not going to get it done.
Mm.
Yeah,
so that's why I don't think Washington is going to be able to win.
I still trust the combination of Wentz and Ron Rivera more than I do Daniel Jones and Brian Dable. I can say that.
I don't really
trust them. I don't
really think that's saying much. I mean,
it's not.
He's a rookie coach, and then
Daniel
Jones he's one of the bottom quarterbacks in the league. So
yeah.
It's like saying I'd rather have some dog shit than have some cat shit.
I know. It's the delusion. Yeah. It's the delusion of people thinking that Dable's going to revive Daniel Jones the way that he did Josh Allen, and it's just not going to happen.
Well, Josh Allen actually showed tools that he had one of the strongest
right
in the league, but
right
was Daniel Jones shown? Not that
he
much.
Can fall.
That he can stumble at his own 2 feet.
Yeah.
Right.
What about so for the Eagles offense this year, I put out a post about this, but I think it was a little bit of overkill with 3,500 combined yards between Goddard, Devontae Smith, and A.J. Brown. What about 3,200 combined yards? That would be a little bit over 1,000. Do you think it's possible that they could combine for 3,200 yards between those three guys?
No.
3,000?
I don't know. I mean,
I may see 2,700 between the three of them, maybe a little bit more. I'd say 27 to 2,850, but I'm not going to go over 3,000.
I could see 3,000 because, and here's the reason why. I get the argument for Quez, but I don't see Quez being as much as involved in the offense like he was last year. I think a major reason why he benefited last year was because he was picking up a lot of slack for Rager. But when you go from having AJ, where you go from having Rager and Smitty to having Smitty and AJ, it's pretty much a big difference. I think he'll still get his chances, but I feel like they're going to try to get A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith a lot more involved in the offense than they did last year. And I think Goddard will be one of the guys that's going to be getting a lot of targets as well.
Oh, yeah.
So I feel like it's very possible that they could all get 1,000 yards.
I think at the same time, though, the argument against it is if you bring out the same core of players, then you're just going to tell defenses that you're going to be vanilla with your play calls instead of giving them different looks, as in different receivers. So if you want Quez out there to take a top off the defense, if you trust him to go against a weaker corner and they can't keep up with them, and you want Hurts to throw a bomb in that kind of opportunity, then you're going to do it. So I think that's why they built the receiver core the way they did in terms of versatility, much like you see the defensive line looking the way it does. So it's just the extra options of having to open up the playbook a little more and giving defenses different looks.
If you have those three guys on the field, you can't really say the playbook's not going to be fully open because those three guys.
Are you going to say they're going to play 100% of the snaps? Are they playing 100% of the snaps though?
Having Zach Pascal on the field isn't going to completely open up our offense, or having someone like that. Those guys are role players. These guys are the stars. These guys are the role players. It's two different things. So I don't really feel as though our offense wouldn't be at its maximum capacity with those three guys not on the field. If you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, and you got big body now too, which is good. You got big body guys now, which they added. So I'm glad they got a mixture of speed and size with the offense now. And yeah, do more play action. I'm not saying don't do read option and RPOs and stuff like that, but definitely expand the playbook. It should be expanded. Now there's more you have to worry about except the receivers. And I got to worry about Jalen. The only reason why this run game works is because of Jalen Hurts. Without Jalen Hurts, the run game, no one's going to respect it because of him holding on to the football. So with this offensive line, spreading out the defense with these weapons that you do have, and then have to worry about another weapon in itself with Jalen Hurts and his feet, it's going to be dangerous. If it works, it will work.
Yeah,
I agree. I think that Jalen, his running ability is really going to show in the red zone. I see him having less rushing yards, more passing yards, but less rushing yards. But I see him having more rushing touchdowns because I just feel like with the weapons,
bulking up,
they're not going to take more account until Jalen Hurts running the ball from the 5-yard line, and it's going to be easy for him because they're not going to put the spy on him with all those guys out there. Or if they do, then it's going to make an easier matchup.
Yeah. How do you guys feel about the fact that they're not going to be practicing much? I'm on the fence about that. I think Jalen needs reps in live.
He needs to play in the preseason. If they hold him out of the preseason, that's
what I heard. I heard he's not playing in the preseason.
I don't put a lot of stock into the preseason, but at the end of the day, the preseason it's still game speed. So it's an opportunity to get the rust off, and by the time you get to week 1, you're feeling a lot better about yourself, and you're kind of more in a groove, more in the rhythm when you go into week 1, week 2, week 3, and then as the season goes on, you're really going to find yourself. So I think that he definitely should be playing in the preseason. There's no question.
Yeah, I agree too. That's what I think so too. Joey?
Who's going to play in preseason?
We heard that Hurts isn't going to be playing. They said he wasn't, but
he's not going to play He's not going to play. He's going to play a couple series. Then they're going to sit him out for 3, 4. I'm telling you, they're going to sit him out.
I'm saying they should because he needs to get more reps against.
Yes, he needs more reps.
I want them to treat it like, and it's only 3 games now, which is a good thing. So
yeah,
you want to put him in for a couple series the first game. Treat the second game like a dress rehearsal. Put him in for half, and then sit him out for a week. I mean, that would be my plan. So after the third week, at least you have another week and a half, 2 weeks until the season starts. So who cares? But he needs snaps, though. He can't just go into that first game just with a couple series under his belt. I don't care about these damn.
He's gonna be rusty.
I don't care about these scrimmages, bro. The scrimmages, like, there's no pressure on him. He's throwing every single ball that's coming out of his hand every play. So it's not showing me much. I don't know.
It should be similar to the way they constructed it last year.
Jalen Hager's going to play like Randy Moss at the scrimmage.
I mean,
AJ might have a good preseason game. So, I mean, like, how much am I supposed to believe this year? You know, like.
Right. No, I mean, I feel the preseason is going to go much like it did last year, where they put Jalen Hurts in for, maybe half of the first quarter or an entire first quarter, and then be done with it, and then throw the second string in there, and then throw the third string in there, because they're still gonna want to figure out what they have in terms of depth, and in combination with the roster cuts and everything, because we got plenty of players. We got plenty of players right now. So I just don't.
Gotta say it quick.
There's plenty to watch. So, I mean, there's plenty of depth to watch. Like, I'm actually really excited to see what we have behind everybody else.
Right. And I don't think it's anybody that we were overhyping like Trevon Grimes last year, where everybody was like, "Oh, this guy needs to be the ultimate
preseason hero."
Yeah, right. Like I don't think there's that kind of player. But I think it's in the case of quality I think it's quantity over quality this time. When you look at the amount of bodies that they brought in, because it just elevates competition. So yeah, but I'm not gonna be overwhelmed on the lack of playing time that Hurts is going to get. So it's really not a big deal.
We've never really been a team that takes the preseason seriously, anyway.
Yeah, no. We'll see some more. We'll see some more elevation in the joint practices, especially being against the. I think it's the Jets and the Dolphins this year. They're gonna really. I think they're gonna really have a good time against the Dolphins, because that's two teams that are similarly constructed, when you got Tua and Hurts as their respective quarterbacks, and they made upgrades at the receiver position. They got something to look at in terms of the defense. The Dolphins' offensive line is okay. It's not the Eagles' offensive line, but they're both in similar situations. So I think it's a good test for both teams. I mean, they both got a stud number one corner between Slay and Xavier Howard. They got a decent number two. I mean, you look across the board, it's almost like these two teams were meant to be in joint practices. So I'm kind of excited, especially with the Hurts and Tua dynamic, and seeing those two on the same field again together.
I'm not really going to make a big deal about the whole joint practices, but I'll say this. I won't be surprised if people are saying, like, Jalen Hurts is balling out in the joint practices. With it being against Tua, because the one thing that people always bring up about Jalen Hurts is how Jalen Hurts wasn't good enough to lead Alabama to the championship because he got benched for Tua. So I feel like he's a competitive person, and he's going to be like, all right, well, you guys keep talking about Tua. Well, I'm going to show you why Tua is not on my level.
Right.
See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's going to be that competitive element going on there. And, well, Tyreek Hill against our secondary, stuff like that, getting us prepared for speedy receivers and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, we can't overhype joint practices the same way as some people are talking about. Some people are talking about OTAs. Man. Right.
Yeah, I'm gonna hype it every day. Be like, star player. He's a star.
Jalen Hurts throwing bombs in OTAs.
I mean, we have to talk about something, so it's just gonna.
Yeah.
Whatever happens is gonna be reported, and I'm gonna cover it. I mean. I'm going to give my full analysis on, like, how much is it believable, and depending on certain positions and what they're doing, even in the scrimmages, and it just depends. We're not watching the whole thing, but when you hear certain things, you want to see some players rise. I mean, that's what we're trying to look for right now. We're trying to look for, some depth players. We're looking for good looks because half the time you have like backup quarterbacks. Sometimes we have these backup quarterbacks or these camp arms that just can't throw the football and can't give these other guys good looks that are trying to look good and trying to make the team or at least try to make the practice squad and can't even get that done. So I'm hoping even with Carson Strong along the way, which I really don't have much faith in him. I don't know. I mean, he's got a great arm, but I don't know. It's more of a he's
like a fourth stringer.
It's not really a big pocket presence. He's an old school quarterback mentality. He just sits he's like a sitting duck in the backfield. Reminds me of like a Sam Bradford type where he just kind of sits and relies on his arm 100%. And nothing wrong with that, but he's got to have some type of movement and obviously past injuries with his knees and everything. And if they could bring him along, we'll see because God knows if a quarterback goes down, Minshew could be in a trade. I mean, I feel like there's a big possibility that Minshew could be in a trade. Maybe by the trade deadline. But I feel like if the Eagles aren't fully comfortable with whoever's back there and they want to trade Minshew, they're not going to trade him. I feel like they want that.
No, there's no reason to.
Yeah, it's not like Carson Strong has a ball and chain to the pocket either. But he's not gonna. He's a quarterback. He's a quarterback that's not going to subject himself to unnecessary chances of injury, much like, the nasty ACL tear that he's already went through, much like the same way we watched Carson in 2017. And some people were talking about that. Dude, like the more you scramble outside of the pocket and the more you subject yourself to tackles and you're just putting yourself at risk for injury. And well, I think it's kind of the same, the same mentality here. Not to say that Carson, Strong is, he doesn't have the same athletic profile as Wentz does, but that's the mentality that you bring into it. You pretty much use your offensive line as your security blanket. But as we know, with the way, that's like last year when people were trying to say that
he'll be like another Nate Sudfeld. He's not.
No, but remember last year when people were actually trying to say that Jalen Hurts was going to have competition with Jamie Newman. Those people are it's not going to happen. Man. No,
you can't listen to everything you hear on the internet.
Right. No, but I'm doing call-in streams and people are talking about that, like, oh, Jamie Newman's underrated and you got to watch out for him and yada yada. I mean, come on, dude was an undrafted rookie. Cut it out. Stop. It's not going to happen.
Hey, what's up, guys?
I don't know, man. I think it's going to be a good season. I think it's going to be fun.
Right.
I'm looking forward to it, but We're over like 2 hours now, so I want to give you guys opportunity to tell us about your channels or anything that you guys like to do before we get off of here for the night. You want to go first, Randall?
Sure. You guys can hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, 100%.
My platform is called Randall to Handle Sports Talk. I'm actually going to start it up here soon. Nice. Probably around the end of August. Kind of want to just talk mainly about the Eagles, but everything sports. As you can tell, the Raptors. It's a 3-year anniversary as from today that we won the chip. So just doing a lot of love right now. But I'm also wearing my champ hat because I gotta show love. But other than that, I just want to talk about sports on there: UFC, baseball, basketball, you name it, everything and anything sports. So
awesome.
Just wanted to pop on. I appreciate the love and love what you're doing out here. So. Cool.
Appreciate it. Lindy?
I still need Vince Carter's jersey, especially the white one of that one, and I can't find one cheap, and I'm not about to pay $120. So, yeah.
You're separating those jerseys down. You're separating those jerseys, right? You're not having like the Maverick shit on top of Jalen Hurts' jersey and totally giving him bad looks. Because,
I haven't done that. I haven't done that in a while. I don't have. I don't have the space to do it. It's like, I'm not gonna try and hang jerseys from the ceiling anymore. Just how my setup is, it doesn't work like that. So yeah, I can't have them out anymore.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, my channel is Joey Shake 72. Cover the Eagles every day. Live streams, daily videos, stream games, do pretty much everything. So that's about it.
He had to do it.
I got the
He had to do it.
What the hell?
This is my high school jersey in the front.
Oh.
What?
What the hell
That's
is
why.
that?
And then I have Sixers and Eagles all mixed up in here.
Damn.
Wow.
But it's way too fucking many. I need to do a downsizing. But
I wear one jersey all year. I don't have
the balls. I don't have the balls to do it.
I got 4 times the collection of that. It's getting bad. I haven't bought any recently, but most of my jerseys are NBA. Aside from the Eagles, I got players from multiple teams. But yeah,
it's all right.
Yeah, it's gotten bad. But no, I mean, yeah. What else? What can I really say? Being that how often I'm on Philly Jim's channel anymore, the two of us really killing it for the LinkedIn podcast on Sideline Sports Network. Make sure to catch us over there every Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Episode 6 is going to be a special one. Just going to throw that out there. No context to it. Y'all have to find out at the end of the week. But episode 6, we're on our way there to episode 10. We got a couple of other surprises in the works that obviously Jim is going to keep confidential to this point because they're not in final preparations. But aside from the network contributions, you catch me over at my channel. Continuing to grow, upgrading my hardware here, intro, outro, all that good stuff. I've been having some pretty good traction on the videos lately, trying to do some different stuff, so I'm not recycling the same topics across the Eagles Content Creator Network. I try to go a little in depth with things, stuff that that may be less direct, that people aren't thinking about. So be sure to check me out with amongst these 3 legends here, or one up and coming legend in Randall.
I know what Jalen Hurts had for breakfast this morning, and you don't.
Right. not to a stalker type of level.
Hashtag,
I'm sitting here with binoculars,
baby.
Right.
I got my binoculars. I'm sitting outside. I was kidding. Peeping Tom. He's gonna be a peeping Tom.
Oh wait, I see you, Joey. I see you. What the hell are you doing?
Oh,
right.
Dude, nah. I hope that doesn't happen. I don't like being recognized in public or something.
Yeah, no doubt.
Right.
Hate it. It's great.
Anyway, gentlemen, I appreciate it. Until next time.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Randall, I didn't even know you had a channel, dude. I'll subscribe 100%.
Oh, I appreciate it, bud. Yeah, sweet.
Yeah, definitely subscribe to him up.
Yeah. I'll, like I said, doing the videos up in pretty much the end of August or start of August. So
nice.
Be on the lookout for them. Sweet, man. Cool. Well, you guys are the reason why I'm doing it, so.
I appreciate
it, man.
Yeah.
Joey,
well, safe to say you had a hell of a Monday, Jim, for your second call-in. There you go.
I might have to start doing it every week now.
Right. Well, at least you weren't by yourself for the first 60 minutes.
You left him by himself?
No, he was here. Lindy's been here the whole time.
Oh.
Yeah.
He's been here the whole time.
I was an hour late, but
you should have seen the dude from earlier. I forget what his name was.
Isaiah?
Yeah, bro. He was so weird. He got on here and he was like, "Do you like the WWE?" And I was like, "No, not really. But back in the day, I used to play the video games on PS2 and it was pretty fun." And then he was like, he was just asking me a bunch of weird ass questions like that. So I ended up just kicking him out the street.
God.
But I guess that's the risk you take when you put the link out for everyone to see. But anyway, guys, we're going to get off here now and tune in to the next one. All right?